Hey friends! It's been a while since we've been on here live and painting. I'm going to give it a few minutes for people to hop on. If you hop on, say hi so I know who I'm talking to. I'm going to make sure I'm in the right spot and not on my personal page. Okay. I'm in the right spot. I can't see any comments from there because it's too far because I'm getting old. So I'll look on here and hopefully a comment shows. Sometimes Facebook can be wonky. Sometimes it'll show comments, sometimes it won't. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. Let me turn this down so I don't have to hear myself talk. Okay, I'm going to set that there. If you're hopping on, say hi so I know who I'm talking to. I have not painted live on here in a very long time. I thought it was time. Usually summer gets so busy that I don't have as much time to go live, but as the weather starts getting calmer, I usually will hop on a little bit more and paint in the winter just because it's slower. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get started. This set that I'm going to paint today is for our quarterly tier tray box. So normally I just set up the set and give them an idea how to set it up, but I thought this time we'll paint it. That way my DIYers could get some tips and tricks. We have a lot of people that buy blanks from us, and I even thought about maybe starting a YouTube channel and doing some videos on there just so that people that buy blanks from us could reference certain pieces or certain techniques. So that may be down the road if I can figure out another platform, but we'll see. Alright, so first things first. These pieces I'm going to stain. So I have my stain in a bottle here. This is actually called Glaze. I get it from Home Depot, and it's like really kind of thin, like stain color, but without the fumes of stain, and it dries much quicker, which helps for painting orders all day, so not having to wait for, because stain you have to wait for it to dry like overnight. Okay, so I go through this with people at paint parties, and it never dawned on me until I started doing paint parties a lot. I use sponges when I have little pieces like these or like my easels. To me, the sponge is easier than brushes, but I noticed a lot of people using the thinner end at paint parties. So just so y'all know, the bigger end is much easier. So I just dabble in it, and then like with the glaze, with the stain, I just glide across. Literally, like, see how fast it is? And it helps me get like an even coat. And if you have any questions as we go along, shoot them in the comments, because now's the time. If you paint blanks and you struggle with something, or you're trying to achieve a certain look, let me know, because I'll answer any questions you have. But see how quick that just, and the thing too is, like, even when it starts to get a little weird at the end, I just take a pair of scissors, cut the end off. It's good to go. It's like a good cost-effective way to paint a lot of things without having to go through so many brushes. So front and back of the easels. For those of you that have never bought blanks or tier tray sets from us, they just slide in there like that and become a little easel. I think the sponge is really good for the littler pieces too, because it helps with so much. Sometimes if you get too much paint or you use a brush, it likes to glob down the sides, which I do not like that. So the sponge helps with that too. And with the stain, you can literally just glide it across. It's not that easy with paint, but with the glaze it is. Alright. If you're hopping on, say hi so I at least know I'm not talking to myself. Alright, so see, like, that's so quick. So quick and easy. And I feel like the glaze gives it the, like, where you can see the wood grain in the back, which I really like. And that's half the beauty of it, is the wood grain. Okay. See all that wood grain? I love that. Hi, Sharon. from Utah. What kind of weather you got in Utah right now? We just now started getting fall weather. Sharon, I know you're from around here, so you know exactly what kind of weather we've been having. It was like 90 last week. It's been for weeks, and then we finally got some 75 degrees today and tomorrow. But curious to see what Utah weather is like. Okay, so there's the stain. I usually paint all my pieces in batches by color. I just think it's easier. So with the quarterly box came this greenery here. So it has navy, it has some burnt oranges, some marigold or some golden colors. So I'm basing all my colors for this set off of this greenery. So if you're wondering where I'm getting my colors from, that's where it's from. So navy. I put all my paint in these bottles, but I also go through a lot of paint. So these bottles here from Walmart, Hobby Lobby, these are plenty sufficient. You could go a long time off these little bottles. I just put the colors I use a lot in the bottles, and I just get them made up at Home Depot so I can get more paint than the little bottles. The stain is called Glaze. It's called, I think Rust-Oleum makes it, Rust-Oleum Glaze, and it's from Home Depot, but it's only in a quart. So like, it's in a thing like that, which we go through like one a week, but obviously if you bought a quart, it would last you years. Years. Hot with a nice cool breeze. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. Alright, so same thing with the navy. Just dab in my sponge. And really I could have cut the end off and used a sponge, but just in case I need to use stain, not sure if I'm completely done with it. And this will go across too, but it doesn't slide as easily as the glaze does. So there's two different looks you can get here. So if I'm looking for a more like see-through distress look, then I will just do one coat, which I'll show you here in just a second. If I want a solid color, obviously it'll take more coats, and less paint is better. I tell people at my paint parties, less paint. You can always add more coats, but you don't want too much paint because it'll end up globbing down the sides. So, I don't know if you can see that, but see how that's somewhat see-through? Like it kind of gives a blue jean look. So if you're looking for that kind of look, all you gotta do is a sponge, one coat. Sometimes I'll go back the other way just to give it, make sure it's all one. I think I'm gonna go with this. Obviously, if you wanted a solid navy, you would add another coat, but it really doesn't take that long. And when I do like thinner pieces like this, I just take the front edge of the sponge and just glide it along. Really, that's why I'm trying to get my paint party people to come to the other side. That everybody wants to not accept the makeup sponges, but I'm telling you guys, it's the way to go. See how quick? And it makes such good smooth coverage. There's not paint glob down the sides. I know y'all DIYers struggle with that because I see it at my paint parties. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about. White. White is hard. So, I personally, everything that is white, I spray paint it. Spray paint, white is just king. So for one, when I spray paint something white, all these engraved pieces, it doesn't touch them. They're all still there, they're all smooth. And the second reason I spray paint white is because the coverage is unmatchable. Like if you take white paint, doesn't matter if you use these little bottles, it doesn't matter if you get paint made up from Home Depot, it doesn't matter where you get white from, the coverage is not as good as white spray paint. So obviously, I know it's probably hard for some of you to spray paint, but if you have the means to, just take it out in the yard, put it on a piece of cardboard, spray paint it, it dries fairly quick. But this is the way to go for white. See how it's like perfection. So just separate out your pieces that you want white, spray them. I mean, obviously you can paint them with a sponge or whatever too, but I swear by white spray paint. And like I only did one coat on this, so it's actually a little bit see-through. It's like a little tiny bit distressed. See how it took the wood grain there? I'm going for a more rustic look for this set, so I only sprayed one coat. But if you're wanting a solid white, you spray one coat, give it 15 minutes, and then add another coat. It really doesn't take that long. Okay, next thing I'm going to do, baby wipe. You can paint this solid orange with a sponge if you want. I'm kind of looking for a more orange see-through stain look. So I'm going to take my wet wipe, dip it in my orange paint. I'm just going to glide it across here. I'll show you guys what it looks like. I know you can't probably see from there, but it gives it a whole different look. And that's what I'm trying to achieve with this particular set. So I'm just going to show you all. You're welcome, Sharon. You hear that? My husband's shipping his tape gun. If you hear that noise in the background. Okay. See how it's like an orange stain just from a baby wipe. One coat. And it's quick. Just all depends on what look you're trying to achieve. I'm trying to think of what other... I do this with gray a lot. Gray paint. Gray or brown paint. If you're looking to get a stained look, but you don't want to use stain, just take gray in a baby wipe or brown in a baby wipe, and you can get the same stain. I hardly ever do the brown just because I have the glaze. But I do it with gray fairly often. It gives a good gray stain look where it's like see-through but still gray. So here's that. Like look, we've already almost painted the whole set in just a matter of minutes. Like it doesn't have to be a whole dragged out thing. And you get quicker with time when you know what you're doing, obviously. Okay, so there's little pieces of silverware here. We're going to do the same thing with the gray that I was just talking about and give it like a... If you're hopping on, say hi. I'd love to know who's on here. I always see names, but I don't always get to chit-chat with people. Alright, so doing the same thing. Little gray on a baby wipe. I think this is going to give the look of... silverware pretty good. Alright. I'll show you in a minute what it looks like up close. Finish this last one. See? Looks just like silverware. So there's that. I only have, let me see, I only have 4 pieces left, and then we'll start gluing. Let me look something up real quick. I think I'm going to do Thankful Navy. I'm just unsure what to do if I bring in another color for this greenery. I really don't want to, but I think I need to. Okay, and I think I'm going to do the little ring for the tag navy too. Alright. So navy we did with the sponge. So this is the prime example. So when you have little delicate words like this is the sponge you want. So you're gonna dip, you're gonna dab in your paint, and then you're gonna dab off like that. And you literally just want this little bit of paint goes such a long way, and it gives such a cleaner, more professional look. Like it's not dabbling down the sides. It's not stuck in the cracks. I'll show you. And you saw me dab off and it did the whole word just fine. But see how like those edges, there's not paint dripping down the side. Perfect. The sponges are like the best for words. Less paint is more. You can always add another coat, but you can't take it off. Less is more. Okay. This little piece navy. The baby wipe instead of a sponge, I do the baby wipe when I want it to have kind of a stained look, like more see-through. Like when I do it with a sponge, it's pretty solid, like a solid coverage. If I do it with a baby wipe, then it makes it like half see-through, it just makes it look like stain. So when I want something to look like stain or half see-through, half painted, then I use the baby wipe. I use both. Just depends on what kind of look I'm trying to achieve. Again, I do the wipe with gray a lot because I like gray stain, but I don't want to use real stain. So that's why I use just paint and baby wipe, and then I have gray stain. And it dries much quicker than real stain. Okay, I don't know what color to do these. I guess I'm gonna have to do them green, but I didn't really want to bring in another color. I like things to be cohesive. Would it be weird if these were orange? Then again, they're going on a blue tag. I think I might go with, I might go with stain. I'm gonna wait on these because I'm not 100%. Sometimes I'll put everything together and then come back to something because I'm not 100%. So now I'm gonna start gluing everything. So everything's painted, minus these two pieces that I'm undecided about. But see how quick that was? That wasn't bad at all. Okay, let's talk glue. So I always recommend Stick Fast. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it at any woodworking store. I prefer this because for one, it's strong, and for two, it dries so quick, which can be challenging at times too, but I'm just used to it. But this stuff is no joke. Like, I think I've sent out hundreds and hundreds of products, and I've only had one person message me and say something fell off. So I think that's, over 6 years, that's pretty good. So I swear by this stuff. But you can also use wood glue. I'm trying to think of the name. Hold on, let me look. If you can't get Stick Fast, let me show you this other glue. If for some reason you can't get Stick Fast and you don't have time to order it, and you need to go to the store, this is the second thing I would recommend. Type Bond Quick and Thick. So you could literally put a little bit of this on a paper plate and use a Q-tip and just rub it on the back, and it works just fine. It's a strong hold. It just takes like 24 hours to fully cure and dry. So if you can let it sit flat for 24 hours, then this stuff works just fine. I just like this because it's fast. We paint a lot of orders a day, and sometimes when we paint something, we'll ship it out that day. So I need this to dry. But either one works fine. The first little piece we're gonna do, because it's easy, is this little cutting board. So this gets all the little white words that say gather with grateful hearts, and we're just gonna glue them on. So with this Stick Fast, I literally just, it doesn't take full coverage. I usually just draw a line, or I'll draw dots and gather here with grateful hearts. I'm gonna put the words in the wrong order. All right. If y'all have any questions, you let me know. I'm an open book. Gather here, and if you're watching the replay, if you could comment replay, that would be super duper helpful, just because it allows it to go back up in the feed of Facebook so that others can see it. Gather here with grateful hearts. Just helps to where Facebook pushes it out to more people if you comment on it. Okay. So also in this box came a little bit of ribbon that goes on this piece and the tag. So we're gonna go ahead and put that on too. I like to finish whole pieces at a time. It's just what I do. What's the name of the first glue? Stick Fast. I know it's backwards for you, but Stick Fast. I use medium mostly, but I've also used thick. I've never ever used thin. so I can't vouch for it, but medium and thick work just fine. Okay, this ribbon here came with it. So we're going to, I always just roll it over. And we're gonna tie it. I always make sure the strings are even. Doesn't really matter, it's just things I do. Knot it. Now you can either do a bow, cut the ends off and do a bow, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna make a loop. So I'm gonna untie this and make a loop. So I'm gonna tie it at the end so that it hangs down. You can cut off all those little scragglers at the end where it likes to unfray. This part's kind of challenging, really. I may have to go with the bow route. Okay, hold on. Let me do some thinking on this. Okay. I'm trying to see how I want this to actually look. Or let's try something else. Let's do, fold it in half. Put it through the back. There we go. We're gonna make a little loop there and we're gonna run it through the middle of the loop. See what that looks like. Nope, that's not it either. Okay, we're gonna go with the bow. Back to my original plan. Sorry guys, this is what happens when you go live. You get the ins and the outs. Okay, so tie a knot around the loop. Then I'm gonna take it, straighten out my pieces. Then I'm gonna fold it over and cut it at an angle. They call this a dovetail. Do the same on the other side. Fold it over, cut it at an angle. Still too long. I'll cut a little bit more. Then you got a little bow. Honestly, I think it would be cuter wrapped around here, around this. So if you're a quarterly box person, I just tried out all the different ways to save you some trouble. Okay, I'm going to tie around the neck. Going back to the longer one. Fold it over. Tie. Probably going to give it a double knot. Then same thing. Fold it over in half. Dovetail it. Cut at an angle. Do the same thing on the other side. This is kind of how I make my bows. I dovetail the ends of all of them as well. Still think this one's too long. I'm struggling with this. I just like it to look a certain way, and it's not. I like that better. I like it down farther. Okay. That's done, that's done. This piece doesn't get anything else, so that's done. So we got the easels done, the cutting board, and the turkey done. And we're gonna work on this piece. This piece gets a border. This I struggle with on the borders because it literally takes, you just gotta run it real thin. Don't overdo it because you don't want your glue squeezing out the sides. It just takes a little bit. And then I always take my fingers here. Take my fingers there, make sure, and then it sticks to your finger, and you drag it across. Then I always just line it up here, make sure all the edges are lined up. I I can't even tell you how many times a day this glue sticks to my fingers. One time I glued an ornament to my finger. I had to use paint thinner to get the ornament unattached to my finger. This stuff's very strong. Alright, but then again, like seconds. It's dry. Alright. So when I tell people at paint parties when they use this, I always tell them, line out all your pieces where they go before you start gluing them down. Because once you start gluing, they're not going nowhere. Okay. Same thing with the thin little words. Like, it does not take a lot of glue. My bottle's almost gone. Sometimes I'll just touch it with the end of the bottle and it'll be enough glue. Okay. Voila. Piece is done. I don't know if you can see it, but the frame is stained. I'll share a finished picture for on my page tomorrow for the group. I painted the circle the same color as the tag. So now I'm going to flip this over. Let's see, what color am I going to make this? So it's got gray silverware. It's going to have an orange. I think I'm going to do orange. So I'm going to take my baby white because that's what I did the rest of the orange in. And again, sometimes you can put pieces over, sometimes you can't. Sometimes the char marks will be too. Normally I'll just paint over it, but that navy's so dark that I just flipped it over. Boom. I think I'm going to paint the greenery stain. Part of me wanted to do it green, but I just don't want to throw in another random color. I like cohesiveness. So I think I'm just going to stain them real quick. And this glaze stays wet on your sponge for like quite some time, so it's always nice if you have other stuff to go back to. Glue that down. Okay. I think next time I come paint live, I should probably do a door hanger. Seems like when I do paint parties, that's what people always need a little guidance on. Would that be helpful to any of you all? Okay, so since we have white in our other pieces, I always personally like to outline my tags. I don't know why, I just do. So I'm going to use a white paint marker. So we're going to talk paint markers for a minute since we're talking all the things. I personally like Posca pins the best. I've used Walmart brand, which they're okay. I just personally like Posca pins the best. I just feel like they have the best coverage. They don't bleed a bunch of paint out at once and ruin your whole project. I just prefer them, but again, it's just a preference thing. So I just go along that edge with my marker. I just feel like it defines it a little bit more. You don't have to do that part. I just like it. So we're going to go back to the other piece of string, which I don't know if I can get away with this short piece. I may have to get out a piece and recut it. Bear with me, guys. Since I ruined my first piece, I'm going to cut me. So quarterly tiered tray box people, don't ruin your piece of string like I did. I'm just going to cut a longer piece again. I think I made you a bow just to keep it cohesive on this one too. can't always get it through, find a pokey something and poke it through. Alright. I don't know, I kind of like the idea of it hanging too. So indecisive tonight. I think I'm going to do with a bow, keep it matched. So, tie it through the hole, fold the piece over, dovetail it, do the same thing on the other side. Okay, there's that piece. Okay, we got one more piece, and then we're ready to put it on the tray. See, that doesn't take long at all. Another little frame. Also, if you don't have paint markers, I do this sometimes too. Take a sponge, dab it in white, or whatever color you want to outline in. Since I outlined this, I would just dab it in white, dab off, and then just run your sponge at an angle, and you can get the same look. I just like that the paint marker gives me a little bit more preciseness, but I've used sponges before too. They work just fine. Okay. Now, if you're really super duper extra, you could always paint in the etched lines. Like if you have words and you want to paint that in, you're more than welcome, but I personally do not, because I feel like I make more of a mess painting in the letters than I do just leaving it alone. If it doesn't have a 3D word, then I don't touch it. Just because I like crisp lines. Okay, this is the pie crust. And the beauty of this is that all the lines are etched in the back for you, so you know exactly where it goes. Okay. Boom. Pumpkin pie. 5 cents a slice, if only. Okay. That's all the pieces. We got it painted. For my quarterly box people, I'm going to share a picture of it on my page tomorrow so you have a little reference to go by if you couldn't join tonight. And again, if you're watching a replay, comment replay for the others so that they can see it too. Okay, I'm going to do a little quick tiered tray setup because it's not going to take me long with this many pieces. This stuff here, I swear by it too. Mounting putty. This just helps people struggle with getting their pieces to stay on their tray. And this is the key. This is the trick. Especially with the banners. There's no banner on this set, but... Okay, I don't know how I'm going to set this up, so I'm going to have to play with it for a minute to see how it's going to go. But you take a little piece of the putty. I just roll it into a little ball. You put it on the bottom of your piece. And this comes off super easy and doesn't tear up your pieces or your tray, so it's very removable. But it just helps give it a little, like, see, stability. Okay, I think I'm going to go in with the turkey on the side. Yep. Now these little pieces can be kind of tricky, so you really just got to put it up on there and see what part actually touches. Sometimes they'll stay like that. Okay. And now we got to figure out which piece. We got our easels, they help. I don't know which piece I'm going to use for the easel. I think I'm going to put this in the center because it's upright. So again, I'm going to put a little putty on the bottom. I usually do 2 little balls on the, one on each side. And you can get this stuff at like Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot, pretty much any hardware store, Ace. I don't know if you have an Ace where you are, but we have one in our town. So push it down. Here's that. And then I'm going to put, since the bow's over here, I'm going to put it on this side. It's kind of hard to do when you can't see. But see how that flipped forward or backwards? That's where the putty comes in. So see how it touches on the ledge? I'm going to put the putty right there on the ledge. So boom. There's a fly in here that's been bothering me all day. And I push the piece forward, of course. Okay. Also, sometimes if pieces are super duper tricky and really giving me a hard time, then I'll prop up stuff behind it, like little, like, say, in this case, I'd put a pumpkin behind here to hold it up a little bit. Just helps. Or a piece of greenery or whatever it may be. In this case, I really don't need these easels, so you don't have to use them, but just in case, or if you want to use them for a different set, there's that too. Now see how this piece is so big that it would cover all this? I think we're going to do this route. So if I was to set this up in my kitchen, I'd probably put this up front, and that means I would move these over. Make it more center. Of course, my putty piece moved now that I moved it. The spot where my putty goes is no longer the same. Put a little piece in the corner. Now I'm going to show you like how much greenery is going to change the whole look of this tray. If you don't have greenery in your tray, you should. It's hard to do this backwards. Okay. So again, I would probably put a pumpkin behind this one. Today I'm putting a water bottle. I want to show you what greenery does. So, a couple little tips. If you're wanting greenery for your tray, but you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, you can buy one little bundle like this. See how it has all this variety? I've already even cut some off of this. Just buy one of these and then cut it down and use it how you want. This particular one was from Michael's, but just a little tidbit for you. Just get some wire cutters, cut the little pieces off that you want, however long you want them, and then boom, you got a whole. Okay, so I personally like height on my trays. So if this was my tray in my kitchen, or wherever, my dining room, whatever, I would first add height to here. So if I want to do that, 9 times out of 10, I'll take a little, like say these two pieces together, and then I will take the pole that's in the center of this tray, and I would take a little piece of tape, and I would wrap this around it and hold the greenery there. If you're putting your tier tray towards the back of something, you're not going to see it anyways. Now, you people that have center island trays, you do all the way around, you guys are the real MVPs because those trays are hard. I always put my tray in a corner because I like to use things that are not so pretty to make it pretty. So in this case, I would tape this here on the pole. Obviously, I can't do that. I mean, I could, but I'll just use some painter's tape. Should have done this before I put the pieces there. Anyways, I'm going to take this tape, wrap it around, and you're never going to know if your tray is backed up against something. Try not to topple everything forward. Just trying to get this to stay. Okay, I just love height on a tray. I love when greenery is coming like out and over. So just a little tidbit from me to you. So now I always go out each side. I feel like that helps too. Sometimes if I have a small enough piece, I'll put it up front. This particular one, I try not to cover up the words too much, but like I'll use a little piece like this where I can just lay it down there and give it some fullness. So now you got the pieces outside, upwards, in the front, and it starts to give it a full look. I'd probably add some more here. Now we do the same thing on the back. So I just tuck in pieces that hang off So see how this tag is navy? I'm not going to use navy over there, so I probably would use it on the opposite side. So I'm going to take the navy flower, I'm going to put it on the opposite side of the navy tag. So it's all about kind of balancing your colors. If I could not knock everything over because I'm doing it backwards. Okay, so now I'm going to take some oranges and probably put them over here because I got such a dark tag. So there's that, and then I'm going to cut off probably a little piece of the orange, put some down here. Okay, but I know it's kind of hard to see from here, but see how much fuller? It gives it like a more completed look. If I was you and you had this set, I would also probably add just some pumpkins. If you can find dark orange pumpkins or light orange pumpkins, I think that would be cute. Or just little props that go with it, but that's simple. Alright guys, if you have any questions or you watch this later and you have a question, it notifies me, so I'll go back and answer if you have any questions. If you have something you want me to paint in the future, just let me know. Alright guys, have a good night. Hope this was helpful. And again, I'll share a picture tomorrow for my quarterly tiered tray people. Have a good night guys.